I didn't understand where your stash is. I already promised your $3 million to him for her anniversary. My husband's voice echoed off the marble walls, shaking the silence that used to feel like home. The curtains fluttered from the air conditioner, and in that soft, trembling wind, I watched the man I'd trusted tear through drawers like a thief. He ripped open my jewelry box, pulled out envelopes and scattered papers that once held our dreams, mortgage plans, college savings, receipts I'd hidden from the world but never from him. Or so I thought. When he found nothing, he turned to me, eyes red, veins sharp against his temples. Where is it, Clara? Don't play dumb. Hi everyone, my name is Clara Reeves, I'm 33. And I guess the day you discover your marriage was a transaction is the day your heart finally goes silent. Do you ever look at someone you love and realize you've been financing their lies? I stood near the kitchen island, the smell of last night's coffee still bitter in the air. The hum of the fridge felt louder than his rage. He had promised his mother $3 million of my savings. Money I'd earned from sleepless nights at the design firm. Money he once called our nest egg. My hands were cold against the granite counter. I spoke slowly, every word deliberate, every syllable cutting through his panic. There is no stash, I said. His face froze. He blinked, the color draining like spilled milk. What do you mean no stash? I took one step closer. I moved it, 2 weeks ago, to an account that only I can touch. His lips parted, trembling between fury and disbelief. The silence that followed felt like thunder waiting to fall. You what? He whispered. I smiled, small, almost kind. You should have checked the fine print before promising my money to your mother. He stared at me, shaking his head, realization slicing through him like glass. The man who once said I was too cautious, now understood why. The room went still. Then from somewhere deep inside him, a single broken laugh escaped. It sounded less like humor and more like defeat. And that was the exact moment I knew. Our marriage had just ended, not with betrayal's scream but with money's quiet truth. If this ever happened to you, say, same in the comments. He slumped onto the couch, running his hands through his hair like a man who'd just gambled away his last breath. The veins on his neck throbbed as he muttered to himself, "She's gonna kill me. Mom's gonna kill me." I leaned against the counter, watching the man I once thought was my peace unravel into someone else's chaos. He wasn't scared of losing me, he was scared of losing face. That was always the truth hiding in his apologies. Clara, he said finally, his voice cracking, you don't understand. It was an investment, a family commitment. I told Mom I'd handle her anniversary fund and now. I interrupted, my tone calm, precise, surgical. You sold my trust for a dinner party, Ethan. He looked at me like I'd just spoken another language. Maybe I had, the language of accountability. The apartment, once a reflection of us, suddenly looked staged. Photos of fake smiles, gifts that meant nothing, and that golden-framed quote above the TV that read "Love is giving without keeping score." I almost laughed. Love for him was just a transaction with better packaging. He tried one more time, desperate now. Clara, I'll fix this, okay? I'll talk to her, just transfer it back before she finds out. I stepped closer, enough to smell the cologne he always wore when lying. You promised my money to your mother. You didn't even ask me. He opened his mouth but no words came. His eyes darted to the hallway where our wedding photo hung. The one where he held my hand too tightly, smiling for the camera but never for me. I didn't steal, he whispered. No, I said softly. You just forgot it wasn't yours to give. The tension in the room shifted. He looked smaller somehow, like a child caught in a lie. Outside, thunder rolled faintly as if the sky itself exhaled the truth we'd both ignored. He turned toward the door suddenly, grabbing his keys. Fine. You'll regret this. I didn't stop him. I just whispered to the empty room. Not as much as you will. That night the apartment felt heavier, the air thick with dust and silence. I didn't sleep. Every sound, the pipes humming, the rain tapping on the window, felt like a warning. By morning my phone was buzzing nonstop. 23 missed calls from Ethan. Then one from his mother, her voice message playing in that shrill, performative tone. Claire dear, it's rude not to contribute to family. You married into this. Your savings belong to us all. I pressed delete. I poured my coffee slowly, the smell sharp and grounding. In that quiet kitchen I realized something terrifying. I'd built a life where I was the only one playing fair. By noon Ethan came back. His eyes were bloodshot, his shirt wrinkled, and his voice softer, rehearsed. Listen, Clara. Mom's upset. He thought it was our account. She said she can fix it if you just... I laughed, a small dry sound that didn't feel like mine. Fix it? Ethan, she's been living off your sister's credit cards for years. She sees your wife as her next item. His face twitched. Don't talk about my mother like that. Then stop letting her talk through you, I said quietly. He moved closer. You think you're so clever? You think you can just move the money and walk away? I checked Clara. Half of that account was from my salary. I held his stare. And whose promotion paid the other half? He looked down, cornered. For the first time I saw fear, not of losing money but of losing control. He grabbed his jacket and hissed, "You'll regret embarrassing me like this." The door slammed so hard the picture frames rattled. When silence returned, I walked to my desk drawer, pulled out a small black USB, the one I'd been updating for months. Every financial statement, every text he sent about temporary loans, every email where he asked his mother to hold my wife's savings just for a few weeks. I stared at it, heart steady now. He thought money was power. He forgot, proof was stronger. 2 days later the mask came off. His mother arrived uninvited, pearls, perfume, and poison disguised as politeness. She stood at my doorway with that smug smile, holding a bouquet of lilies as if she were at a funeral. "Clara, darling," she cooed, "I just came to clear up this little misunderstanding. Ethan told me you've been overreacting. Overreacting. That word women hear every time they start defending what's theirs." I gestured toward the living room. "Come in if you think you can handle the truth without rehearsing it first." Her lips twitched. She sat, legs crossed, eyes scanning the room like she owned it. "Sweetheart, I understand you're upset, but in our family we share. That's what love looks like." "Love," I said, leaning against the doorframe, "doesn't come with a price tag." Her smile stiffened. "Don't take that tone with me. Ethan's only trying to do right by me. He said you'd moved the money out of fear. That you weren't well lately." I let out a soft laugh. "You mean the account I opened after your son tried to sign my name on a withdrawal form?" That made her blink. "Just once. But enough." I set my phone on the table and hit play. Ethan's voice filled the room, recorded clearly from the night before. "Mom, I told you she's not giving it up. I'll find another way. Maybe I can sign for her if she's sick. You said you'd handle the rest." The color drained from her face like ink in water. Her voice cracked. "You recorded him?" I tilted my head. "No, he recorded himself. I just saved the truth." She stood abruptly, grabbing her purse. "You don't know who you're dealing with, Clara." I smiled, not cruel, just done pretending. "Neither did you." She slammed the door on her way out. I didn't flinch. I simply walked back to the window, watching her luxury car pull away. The reflection staring back at me in the glass wasn't angry. Just calm. Because revenge, I realized, didn't always need noise. Sometimes it was just evidence waiting for daylight. The daylight came sooner than I expected. By morning, Ethan was pacing outside my office building like a man rehearsing his last defense. He looked pale, jittery, the kind of desperate that comes when lies start to run out of oxygen. "Clara, please," he called out as I stepped from the elevator. His voice cracked under the weight of a dozen sleepless nights. "We need to talk." I didn't stop walking until he caught up beside me. The lobby's glass walls reflected us. Him frantic, me still. "You told your boss I forged signatures?" he hissed. "You're destroying my reputation." I turned slowly, meeting his trembling eyes. "Correction, you destroyed it yourself. I just stopped hiding the ashes." He swallowed hard, his bravado dissolving. "My mother, she's threatening to sue. She said the money was a family loan." I almost laughed. Then she should provide proof of the loan she never gave. For a second he looked like he wanted to fall apart right there on the marble floor. But then he straightened up, forcing a brittle smile. "You can't ruin us both over pride, Clara." "Pride," I said softly. "You emptied our future for her vanity. You called that love. I call it theft dressed in wedding vows." He flinched. Around us, co-workers pretended not to listen, but silence carries gossip faster than words. I leaned closer, my voice low but sharp enough to slice through the hum of the building. "Your mother's threats won't matter. Because tomorrow morning her family loan and your forged signature will both be sent to the firm's legal department, and to my lawyer." His face went blank. You wouldn't. You really should stop underestimating women with nothing left to lose, I whispered. He stood frozen, eyes wide, the look of a man watching his empire crack from the inside. As I walked away, my heels echoed like clock ticks counting down to his downfall. That night, I placed the black USB drive inside a padded envelope, addressed to Compliance Division, confidential. For the first time in years, I slept without setting an alarm. Because when truth is finally set free, it doesn't need waking. The following week felt eerily quiet, too quiet for a storm that big. Ethan stopped calling. His mother vanished from my messages. Even my coworkers who used to whisper behind the glass doors, now looked at me differently, not with pity but with something sharper. Respect maybe. Or fear. Then on Thursday morning the email arrived. Subject: Internal audit findings. Confidential. I clicked it, heart steady. Inside were screenshots, bank transfers, time-stamped approvals. Everything Ethan had tried to hide under the guise of family expenses. His signature appeared next to mine on 3 different documents. Except the handwriting wasn't mine, just his lazy imitation. Attached was a note from legal. Thank you for forwarding your evidence. The company will proceed with disciplinary action. You may be contacted as a witness. I read it twice. My hands didn't shake. Not this time. That evening I walked into our apartment, still technically ours, though half the furniture was gone. The emptiness echoed like consequence. His cufflinks were still on the dresser, his cologne faint in the air, a ghost of arrogance fading. The doorbell rang. I knew it wouldn't be him. It was a courier. A thin man with tired eyes holding an envelope. Mrs. Reeves? Legal service notice. Inside, a single sheet. Divorce petition, initiated by Ethan Reeves. Grounds: emotional cruelty and financial deception. I almost smiled. The irony could have won awards. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat by the window, watching the city lights shimmer like indifferent stars. Then I opened my laptop, clicked on my drafts and uploaded something new to my cloud. A hidden video file. Ethan's voice again, this time bragging to his friend. She'll never find out. I used her login, changed the passwords. Easy money. My finger hovered over the send button, this one addressed to his attorney. But I didn't press it. Not yet. Sometimes power isn't in the exposure. It's in knowing you could destroy someone and choosing silence. Until the right moment. And that moment was still coming. The right moment arrived on a rain-soaked Monday morning. The kind that feels like the world's about to reset itself. I was in the lobby of the courthouse, holding an umbrella dripping onto the marble floor when I saw him. Thin. Same tailored suit, same overconfident posture. But now his tie was crooked and his mother wasn't beside him. Maybe even she had realized his empire was crumbling faster than her pride could rebuild it. He looked at me like a man still trying to bluff with no cards left. You're really doing this? He said quietly. Dragging our names through the mud? I met his eyes, calm. Ethan, the mud was already there. I just stopped pretending it was silk. He exhaled sharply, turning toward the courtroom doors. You could have just let it go. I did, I said. Until you filed a petition built on lies. His lawyer approached. Older, polished, the kind who believed charm was evidence. But when the judge read the financial audit aloud, even that lawyer's confidence flickered. Every forged signature, every diverted transaction, every family contribution, suddenly projected on a courtroom screen. Ethan's jaw tightened. His hands fidgeted with his cufflinks, the same pair I once gifted him for our 2nd anniversary. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The judge's voice cut through the tension. Mrs. Reeves, the court acknowledges substantial evidence of financial manipulation and forgery by Mr. Reeves. Restitution and divorce proceedings will continue accordingly. I nodded. No smile. Just stillness. Outside, as the rain eased, Ethan followed me down the steps. You've humiliated me, he whispered, broken, desperate. I turned to him, not angry, not triumphant. Just done. No, Ethan. I showed the world what you did to yourself. He looked away, tears threatening but too proud to fall. I walked past him, down the wet steps, each heel click echoing like closure. In my bag that USB still waited, untouched. I'd never release the worst of it. Because my revenge wasn't ruin. It was revelation. And some truths hurt more quietly than any scandal could. 2 months later the storm had passed, Not with lightning but with paperwork. The divorce was finalized. Ethan lost his position, his reputation, and the apartment he once called ours. The court granted me full rights to every cent I'd earned, and half of what he'd stolen to impress his mother. Justice, printed in black ink, smelled like peace. I moved into a smaller place on the edge of the city. Quiet, sunlit, with a balcony that overlooked a park where kids laughed freely. I kept the curtains open always. No more secrets hiding in corners. One evening, as the golden hour painted the walls in soft amber, a letter slid under my door. No envelope. No name. Just one folded page. "I'm sorry." That was it. No signature. But I knew the handwriting, shaky, tired. For a moment I just stared at it. Then I folded it once more and slipped it inside the back of my journal. Not forgiveness, not vengeance, just history. I made tea, opened my laptop, and stared at the document I'd titled, Truth Archive. Inside was everything. The recordings, the transfers, the court papers, the proof that once kept me awake at night. I hovered over the delete key. My hands didn't tremble. I pressed it. The files vanished. Not out of mercy, but because I no longer needed them. Out on the balcony, wind brushed against my skin, soft and alive. The city lights blinked like distant applause. For the first time, I felt the rare stillness that only comes after surviving the unthinkable. I thought of that day in the kitchen, the way he screamed about his mother's anniversary, the way greed turned love into math. And how somehow it led me here, to peace that cost no revenge, just truth. I closed my eyes, whispered to the night. Some losses are really exits disguised as miracles. Then I smiled, not at what I'd won but at what I'd finally let go.